therapist and craniosacral therapist for animals and people, and this is Tristan Corgi. This is our fourth installment of Conversations with a Corgi. And I'm happy today to be talking to you about the importance of listening to animals. I had a new dog client come this week, a beautiful black dog, kind of a lab mix, leggy, really a pretty dog, really soft, silky fur, and he was a very, very sensitive animal. His ears were kind of tense, and it was apparent to me that he was really a deeply sensitive dog, and he has two great people to take care of him. And so when I met him, the first thing I knew was that I would have to approach him very respectfully because of his great sensitivity. I didn't want to do anything to upset the dog or break his trust. And so part of my approach in trying to do that was that I had to really listen carefully to the messages the dog was giving me. For instance, I did not walk up to him and approach him right away. I let him walk around, I let him sniff me, I let him sit with his people, I let him explore the room. He sniffed me a little bit because I smell like a corgi, and he was just, generally getting accustomed to the environment of my office. And then gradually, I sat a little closer to him, and I was really respectful when he backed away from me to not move, to pull my energy in, to look at the ground behind him, and to not come into his space in a way that would be disrespectful, rude, and actually assertive in a way that would upset the dog. His people had brought him some treats, which is good because a lot of the work that I do is rebalancing the equilibrium between the sympathetic, the stress part of the nervous system, and the parasympathetic, which is the rest digest part of the nervous system. And his people had reported that this dog was a little bit overly anxious a lot of the time, like he could not re-regulate into the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So the work that I do, craniosacral therapy and T-touch, is the perfect combination to help a dog regain a balance between his sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So I did not want to do anything to put him more in a stress response in my work with him. I was very quiet, I sat next to him, I was really aware of his breathing and my breathing. And I yawned a few times, looking away from him a little bit to try to show him that I was relaxed. And his people actually noticed that, and one of them said, "Thank you for doing that." So these are people that are really in tune with their dog. And then gradually over the session, I was able to touch him with the back of my hand. Come up here, little biscuit. So I approached him with the back of my hand this way, which is much less threatening than this. Tristan's like, "Where's the treat?" And I was able to approach his 8th chakra over his heart, which is for the connection between people and animals, which happened to also be where he had a lot of restrictions in his shoulder and going back down through his thoracic spine. So gradually I was able to do a session with this dog, and when I got down towards the base of his spine, towards his tail, he had a broken tail. And he, not recently, it was an old fracture. So he was pretty worried about my approaching that area. And I had to be super careful to not just, grab him and hold him down and approach that area. I just brushed my hand over it lightly. I did a T-touch in the air. I came back down to that area. I let him back up and come back to me with the treats. And gradually I was able to really get some deep work in that area. But however, interestingly, most of his primary restrictions were in that right shoulder. So the point of this is to let you know how important it is to listen to what your animal is telling you. And as my friend Dr. Bernie Siegel said, we're all animal communicators. We all talk to our animals all the time, and we never actually listen and wait for a response from them. Sometimes they'll sit patiently and wait for a treat if we say, "Do you want a treat?" But they actually have a lot more to tell us. If you look at their body language, their posture, their eyes, where are they looking? Notice their breathing. What are our animals telling us? We live in a time where the popularity of horse whispering and dog whispering is really, really, overtaking the media and animal lovers everywhere. But that overshadows the real important thing of listening to our animals and really appreciating the messages they have for us. A lot of my evolution in learning how to be with animals in a way that felt balanced between us was learning how to listen to them, from the tiny little rabbits that I had up to a horse. A horse is very clear about what they like and what they don't like. They are able to express themselves with their head, their mouth, their tail, their feet, their legs, their body. They're coming towards us, they're moving away from us, and they're huge animals, and so it's really easy sometimes to see what a horse is telling us. However, I've encountered many horse owners who ignore the language of the horse and push them away or smack them on the nose for getting too close, and they end up in this push-pull kind of argument with their horse, which does definitely take away from your ability to connect with and appreciate your horse and enjoy the time you have with him. A lot of what we label as bad behavior is really an animal's attempt to get us to listen to them. And as we ignore them, they escalate that behavior. Animals have a lot of needs, a lot of spiritual needs, emotional needs, physical needs that we are responsible for because we have brought them into our lives. And I can't emphasize enough how critical it is that we listen to the messages they have for us. When I was in Holland, a man there was working with a horse that I was working with, and he said, "You Americans are so dumb. You know, you think these horses are being naughty all the time and you're always coming at them, but we have bred the Dutch horses to be super, super sensitive and to be expressive and to show us what they need and want. And instead of punishing them, you should learn to read their behavior." Now, I was there as a T-touch practitioner and a craniosacral therapist, so, you know, he was preaching to the choir at that point because I really understood what he meant. And I've noticed in my life training horses how Dutch horses are really responsive, and it takes a pretty long conversation to help their person appreciate the messages the horse has for them. And this is true with all breeds. It's not just Dutch horses, although they have been specially bred to be that way, as have been Arabians and other breeds. And the same is true with our dogs. Dogs have an ability to connect with us, unlike most other animals that we've invited into our lives. We sleep with them, walk with them, they live in our houses, they eat with us, they share our lives in a very deep, rich way that lots of other animals don't. And some people do all of those things with their cats as well. But we often ignore what they're so desperately trying to tell us. And it's really important that we really learn how to listen to our animals and see what they have to say and give them time to respond to what we do. For instance, if I'm asking my dog to walk on like a city grate, a lot of dogs don't want to do that. It's hard on their feet, and a lot of their emotions are held in their feet, and it can really trigger a lot of problems in the dog's mind when he's walking on something that's uncomfortable. He is fearful for his safety and afraid he might fall down, and he can't really see what's down there perhaps. And so it's really important that we give the dog time to look at the situation and see what they are telling us about their fear or their concern. And it's critical at that point that we, come down to their level and show them an easy way, like maybe walking across the corner of it or next to it and standing on it ourselves and reassuring them to help them see that what we're asking them to do is safe. And that helps you build trust with your animal, and it helps them respect you and see that you will take care of them in a way that is totally outside of the world of dominance and submission. It's a lot about, are you a person that I can trust to be my pack leader in a way, but also to be my companion? Can I walk where you're walking and know that I'll be safe? And that is something that we have, a huge responsibility to our animals to help them understand that they are safe when they are with us. And that is one of the great gifts of our relationships with our animals, is having that trust. There has been some talk lately about whether or not you should gaze into a dog's eyes, and the recent research explains that in fact dogs are learning to look in our eyes because that's what we want, but that's not what they like. Dogs like to sit with us and breathe with us and enjoy being with us, but when we look at them, to many dogs, that's pretty threatening. and we need to find another way to appreciate them that is what they need and not just our needs. So I look at his coat and admire his coat because Tristan has a lovely coat. And I look at his coloring. I love the golden color of my Corgis. And I'm sure you have many, many things you appreciate about your dog. So instead of trying to look in their eyes like you would a human, look at other parts of their body and appreciate them in ways that they can understand. And again, listening to them instead of just bringing your opinions to them. There's a great story. I'm sure my sister won't even remember this, Dr. Judy Morgan. She once went on a barn call with a vet when she was in high school and thinking of going to vet school. And they went to a farm with a pony that these people had just bought. It wasn't even really a farm. He was tied to a tree in the backyard. And the people were so uninformed, they didn't even know what to feed the pony. They had gone to the grocery store and bought a lot of oatmeal because they thought horses eat oats. And so they had heaped up a big, giant bucket with this tiny pony full of oatmeal. And the pony, being a pony, had enjoyed a really big meal and had a pretty serious colic. And when the vet and my sister arrived, they found out that not only was the pony having a pretty serious colic, but the pony was also in foal. And it was a really bad situation for that pony because these people, as much as they loved the pony, they had no understanding of the pony's needs and no appreciation of where to go to find out about having a pony. So of course that call took a really long time because they had to educate these people about what they needed to do to take care of that pony. And I was telling a psychology friend of mine about this, and she said that gets to the heart of, every relationship, which is you need to love something the way it needs to be loved, not the way you want to love it. And that's true for all the animals in our lives. Love them in a way that they can appreciate us and feel that love. And instead of imposing our wishes on them and making them be, our children or, our servants, things that don't allow them to become our companions and our equals and our partners and our helpmates in our lives. So I encourage everyone listening today to think about ways to listen to their animal. Is their fur up? Are their ears level? Are their eyes level? What's their posture like? Do they have their weight equal on all 4 feet? Do they look apprehensive? Do they look appreciative? Are they playful? Are they sleepy? There are so many things you can learn from your animal by appreciating their posture and their stance and the emotions that they may be having at the time you're with them. So try to fine-tune your abilities of observation and learn to listen to your animals. It will bring you rich, rich gifts and a much deeper relationship with your pets than you have ever imagined. And I talk a lot about learning to listen to your animal in my book, Dances of the Heart, Connecting with Animals. And if you'd like to learn more about how to listen to your animal, I encourage you to look at my book and also look at the Tellington T-Touch website, because there are many classes held all over the country and the world with T-Touch practitioners. And in those classes, you also learn how to listen to animals. We appreciate them for the gifts they bring us and for the struggle they may be having trying to accommodate our lives or recovering from lives they had before they were with us. And it's really important that we learn to listen to them, and T-Touch is a great way to learn how to do that. So thank you so much for tuning in for the 4th installment of Conversations with a Corgi. My Corgi has fallen asleep. He's having a very peaceful day right now. It's no trick here to notice that my Corgi is tired. And that's what he's telling me, is that he needs a nice snuggle and a nap. So take some time with your animal today, and if you don't have a pet or a horse or a little chipmunk in your yard maybe, or some birds in the trees, and just take some time to interact with them and appreciate the messages they might have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 4 of Conversations with a Corgi, Listening to Animals. And tomorrow we will be appearing at 9:25 in the morning, as well as on Sunday. And tomorrow we will have a talk about fun dog shows, because Tristan is off to the Volunteers in Northampton Schools fun dog show tomorrow, where he will be doing some dog dancing and wearing a costume and teaching people about how to be with animals. So it'll be a fun day. And if you happen to be in Western Mass area, you can come to the Northampton High School and bring your dog and participate in the show, or just walk around, participate in the raffle. So we will see you tomorrow morning. Thank you.